Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at Center of Unity. Whether this is your first time with us or you have been attending these Zoom sessions for many, many months now and been with us here at Center of Unity in person, we're glad you're here, and we hope the experience today allows you a greater sense of peace as you move through this holiday season and all that comes with it. We are just delighted to be able to connect with one another through this miracle of technology. I am once again broadcasting here from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as I spend my last day with my mom and my sister, and I am looking forward. As much as I've loved being here these last several weeks, I am ready to be home and ready to dive into the work that is before us here at Center of Unity. I've asked Jeff if he will once again, because we were talking about music and I miss music so much as part of this service, to join us and lead us in a wonderful Christmas carol this morning, and you can just sing along from wherever you may be.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So this morning we're going to do Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So I'm going to start kind of low because this one gets a little high towards the end. So we're going to start it. Here we go. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to a newborn King.
Hey. Oh, now let's take time to settle into a prayer. Take a deep breath in and just exhale it out. As we relax now, of the indwelling divinity, we see all of the opportunities available to us. Everything is highlighted as we place our attention on all the things that we desire. They just pop up so easily and effortlessly. When there is a healing opportunity in our bodies, we know to learn more about ourselves, to learn more about being present in the moment. Whenever there is a challenge of any kind, we just deny the power that has over us, and we look forward and we look within to that powerful presence, that permanent powerful presence of the indwelling divinity. Loving, kind. We are so very grateful to be in this moment, this opportunity where we get to learn more about our own growth as well as our church's growth. Reverend Linda, we look forward to learning more about what your vision is for our spiritual community. And for thank you to this powerful presence. And we take a moment now to just breathe that in. we are humbled by this presence of the divinity within. And we say thank you for these wonderful opportunities. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Gigi. Here at Center of Unity, we've got a mission and a vision. Our mission is we inspire spiritual growth through prayer, education, and sacred service.
And we also have a vision, and that is that we are centered in God. We envision a world free of judgment and full of love.
And to support the mission and vision statement, we have core values. And today, Jeff is going to speak to the core value of spirit-led.
That's right, spirit-led. We are open to guidance from spirit and seek it in all that we do. Now, another way of saying it would be also being led by the Spirit. Romans 8:14 in the King James, that's the one that some of us are the most familiar with. It says, "For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God." Or a different version says, "For as many who are led by the Spirit of God, they are the children of God." So God is always guiding us. He's always leading us, and he's always speaking to us. And it's up to us to open up our spirit to receive it. I've often used the example of tuning in a radio station. The signal or the music is constantly being broadcast, regardless of whether or not your radio is tuned in or not. So what do you have to do? You have to tune in the radio to receive the broadcast. So practically, how are we open to guidance? To me, the first thing is you have to be able to recognize God's voice. I believe it comes through prayer and meditation, studying scripture, analyzing, seeking, reflecting, seeking the heart of God, the mind, soul, and strength. And when we meditate on spirit, the word of God or thoughts of God, we are training our human spirit to recognize God's voice and to be more in tune with where God directs us and specifically what he has to say to us. I mean, I think the easiest way to practically think about it is spend time with God. Just spend time with him. I mean, Amber, for those of you who don't know, Amber's my wife. She could be in any room of the house and she could call out, "Jeff," and I'll instantly know it's her. I mean, I don't have to contemplate it. I don't have to go and seek counsel. I mean, I know it's her. Why? Well, it's because we spend time together. I know her voice. And it's the same with God. Absolutely the same with God. When we spend time, we get to recognize that still small voice. And when we hear it, we know it's him. At Center of Unity, we are open to guidance from Spirit.
Thank you, Jeff.
Unity principles. There is one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, God, the good, omnipotent. The divinity is in all humankind. Jesus was not the exception, rather the example. We have direct access to God through prayer and meditation. Thoughts are things. We can demonstrate now the good we desire.
With open arms, we welcome any new visitors who happen to be here for the first time. And if you will, we would greatly appreciate you putting your name and your email in our chat so that we could keep you posted on what is happening at the Center of Unity. And we're just grateful you chose to spend this time with us and pray that the experience, as Reverend Linda said, will come to be, and that you, through that message, you will become to be more of an active part of our family. And again, thank you so much for attending today, and thank you for all who are members and constant people who are supporting our family. Thank you for being here also. Bless all.
The word for this Sunday is peace. Peace flows through me and blesses the world. The light of God shines within all people. I pause to remember this truth as I consider the world and my relationship to it. Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you." From John 14:27. The same divine light that lived in Jesus is shining brightly in me. My peace is a gift I choose to give to the world. I bless the world by affirming the kingdom of God is among us, here and now. It is through this Christ-centered awareness that I project a consciousness of peace. I live, move, and have my being in the light, love, and peace of God. I expand my awareness of divine ideas through prayer and meditation, and I do my part to uplift the consciousness of the entire planet. I am walking in the light of God, and I am at peace. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it. Revelation 21:24.
There we go. Unmute myself here. That's what I'm wanting to explore with each of you this morning, is how we can not only receive that gift of peace, but how we can be that presence of peace for our world. I was reminded of a story of a journalist who was in Jerusalem and had heard about a man who went to the Wailing Wall every day, twice a day, and prayed. And she was intrigued, and so she decided to go to the wall one morning before she had to work on another assignment. And sure enough, there was the man there praying. And she watched him pray for about 30 minutes. And when he turned to leave, she approached him and said, "I'm here doing another story, but I heard that you have for many, many years been coming to pray at the wall. How long exactly have you been doing this service of prayer?" And he replied, "Well, it's been about 60 years that I've been coming to the wall." "Wow," she said, 60 years, that is amazing. She said, "Would you mind telling me what you pray for when you come to this sacred place?" And he replied that, "Well, I pray for peace between the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims. I pray for all the hatred to stop. And I pray most fervently that our children and their children will grow up in a place where they can feel safe, where there is a value on friendship, regardless of where they might be from or what their beliefs might be." And she looked at him and she said, "Well, tell me, how do you feel after spending 60 years holding this sacred prayer?" And he replied, "Like I'm talking to a brick wall." So there's my joke for this morning, a way to get us smiling just a little bit. And, you know, it is funny, and yet at the same time, at least in my experience, it can certainly feel that way. For the probably 30 or 40 years I've been doing a spiritual practice, where certainly peace was one of those things that I desired to have more centered in my life and that I desired to see out in the world. Sometimes all of those efforts spent in prayer never seem to make a difference. The chaos of the world still continues. In fact, sometimes, as 2020 has shown us, it can even get worse, despite all of the time and effort that we've spent in prayer. And in this Advent season, as we talk about this energy of peace, as we seek to have this rebirth of this Christ presence, this light and this unshakable peace within us, I want to invite each of us to consider, instead of our efforts being around praying for peace, to see how often we can shift our attention to being peace. And there's a big difference in that. When we pray for peace, we're praying for peace in the world out there, and perhaps in the ways in which we interact with people in our lives. But when we shift our attention to being that presence of peace, we begin to not only shift in the way we see our outer world, but I believe we can have a shift in the way our outer world actually begins to interact with each other. You know, there's a saying that's been around for thousands upon thousands of years, and it's one that philosophers and mystics and scientists like Newton and saints like Augustine have used. It's a Hermetic principle that says, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. That's the whole thing. Is you've probably heard more often that shortened version of as above, so below, or as within, so without. It's similar in many ways to one of our unity principles that says that that we create our experiences by the activity of our thinking. And when we talk about thinking, we talk about it in the largest sense. It's not just the thoughts that we have, it's the feelings, it's the emotions, it's the attitudes, it's the beliefs, it's the perceptions that we hold. All of those things create how we experience the world. They don't necessarily create what the activity of the world is, but they certainly shape how we perceive it. And if we have thoughts that are consistently fearful or chaotic or worrisome, if we are in that state, which today we more oftenly call stressed out, which, you know, a lot of us have experienced this year, it follows then, based on this principle, based on this spiritual truth, that that is the way we will experience our world. And if we really desire, and I think every one of us here does, to experience peace on earth, that this season calls us to do in a new way, then we have to discover new ways where we can receive this gift of peace within. The gift that the Christ offers to each of us, so that our hearts and our minds and our thoughts and our experiences are far more perceptive to see it all around us. You know, if your experience is anything like mine, it's really easy to ascribe to these truths when things are going well. We can stand in our unity principles and we can see the good in everything when we're experiencing good in our lives. But when that good seems to elude us, when the circumstances of our life don't seem to present it in that tangible way that our human senses can grasp it, it is far more challenging to be able to stand in this truth. I have to know that times were no less challenging for Mary and Joseph as they prepared to give birth to Jesus. They were living in occupied Roman territory, and probably even to a larger degree than any of us have ever experienced, were uncertain from day to day if their livelihoods or even their lives were safe. In Luke, we're told that Mary, as she was in her 9th month of pregnancy, was required by this Roman emperor that they had to travel to Bethlehem, some 75 miles, in order to be counted in the census that they were having. Now, I know for me, and probably for most of us these days, it's hard to fathom traveling anywhere, either walking or on a donkey for 75 miles. It's just not something that we typically even do anymore these days, let alone, if you can imagine, 9 months pregnant. I've been through pregnancy one time, and I know in my 9th month, I was not pleasant to be around. And for those of you who may not have had that particular experience, perhaps you've also been around a woman who was getting ready to prepare to give birth and know that she probably wasn't all that pleasant to be around either. So you can imagine this journey for these two people as they had to navigate these 75 miles in order to do something that they really didn't even want to do, which would be to comply with what the Romans were demanding of them. And even through all of that, we're told, as this birth did ultimately happen, there was a certain level of hope amongst the people of that time. There was hope in this birth as the angels proclaimed, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. And yet, as the story of Jesus's life unfolded, there was not that same level of peace that they were hoping for. The outer world did not magically shift as he was part of the people, as he was sharing his message. There wasn't the outer peace as most people had expected. And people then, and I think often still do, believe that until there is some outer level of peace, until we have peace in our nations, until we have peace in our families, until we have peace in our lives, that it is almost impossible to experience a level of peace within. And yet, in the midst of all of that, the message that Jesus gave to the people, even as he was preparing to walk through the most difficult part of his journey, even as he was preparing the people around him how to navigate as he was no longer there to support them, he said, as the Daily Word gave us a little snippet of today, I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace that I give is not the peace that the world can give you, but it is the peace that is always present and available for you within. So don't be troubled or afraid. This gift that each of us have received because we have been created out of that same energy of love and light. It can't be bought. It can't be controlled. It can't be manipulated. It can only be freely received. And it often can show up in the most unexpected ways if we are open, if we are anticipating that this gift is present in all circumstances. A number of years ago, Father Tom Baker wrote this short article about this ability to shift to inner peace and how it transformed him one Christmas Eve. He says that it was his second year as a priest and he was giving the sermon, and as sometimes happens, a baby began to cry. And he says that usually when this happens, I keep on talking and maybe shift my attention away from the crying and hope the family would take the hint and take the baby out of the mass. But this night, the pews were packed. The mother and her baby were in the middle of a pew, and it became clear that the mother had made the choice, rather than to disrupt and try and leave, that she was just going to ride it out, that she was just going to let this baby cry until it had worked itself through. And for him, and probably the people that were sitting in the service, the crying was really, really loud. And he said, all I could really do was stop and just take a breath and remember that this was Christmas Eve. And he was inspired to share these words. He said, tonight, I choose to love the crying baby. And it reminds me that more than 2,000 years ago, the crying of a child was truly the voice of God. And maybe it still is. And miraculously, in that moment, the child just stopped crying. And there was a hush that fell over the church. And he describes it as a hush beyond quiet. It was the feel of the people listening in the silence. And after a few moments, then there was some laughter as people kind of chuckled, and they proclaimed in that moment that it was a Christmas miracle. But he says, what I remember most was the hush, the moment so quiet and bright and still that you might hear the music in the light or appreciate the voice of God, even in the cry of a child. The gift that is here for us to receive is that we can remember God's love. We can remember the light of the presence of God within us, even in the midst of the chaos. You know, some describe this peace that passes all understanding, this peace that allows us to be in the midst of it, even with chaos around us, as something similar to a tornado. And while the winds may be whipping around and destroying the things that it touches, in the very center of this funnel cloud is a stillness. We've witnessed it. The scientists have been able to measure it, that it is absolute stillness right in the center. And that is sort of the peace that we're talking about in this season. Sometimes I think that the greatest place that we can shift to being this center of peace is to remember to be compassionate, just as this priest was on that Christmas Eve, with ourselves and with others. Oftentimes we do get caught up in the noise and in the fear of what's happening in our world. And I know for many of us right now, and certainly probably some of you that are in this gathering today may be experiencing stress due to financial challenges. Some of you may be in that energy of grief around the loss of a loved one or someone who is very ill, and you have a lot of fear around the possibility of losing them. I know in my family, I have certainly experienced a fair amount of upset in this divisive time that we're living in, with the differences and the energy around the way we're perceiving and understanding and believing how our country should move forward. Perhaps it's created some rift in your family or with your friends. I know for many people, especially those who have underlying conditions and are at potential risk with this virus that is gripping our country right now, there's a lot of fear about how this may show up in our lives and affect us. And if it's not yours, then you probably know someone who is in that state of fear. And this is why the practice of prayer and meditation, I think, is so important for each of us, so that we can, in those times of quiet, feel, even if it's just for a few moments, that centered place in the midst of the storm, that peace that is within us, that peace that Jesus spoke about, that gift that he left with each of us. And as we work to cultivate that inner peace, and there are as many practices to do that as there are people doing those practices, and I think we each have to find that right practice that works for us. Sometimes it's as simple as just taking a few deep breaths. How many of you have had the awareness to do that in the midst of a tense situation? Just stop for a moment and just say, I'm just going to take 3 deep breaths and let it out before I say anything or before I react in any way. How it can shift us within to just be present in a different way. One of the practices that has impacted my life in a huge way, probably over the last 10 or 15 years, is one called loving kindness. And perhaps some of you are familiar with that. It is something that Sharon Salzberg and Jack Kornfield have been big in leading people in discovering how to use this practice of loving kindness in their lives. And it's something that I want us to be willing to commit to, perhaps doing. Try it for these next few weeks in this holy season to see if it might also offer you a greater experience of peace in your day-to-day life. And when we work to cultivate this inner peace, it has an impact on our outer world. We may not see it, we may not feel it when we step outside our door, but I guarantee you, as these spiritual truths, as these principles have said, as within, so without, as we begin to be more of a presence of peace, then it moves out into our world, even if just for that one small moment. But if there's enough moments, we begin to see the shift in the world around us. So we're going to do that here. I'm going to invite you to just sort of be comfortable where you are. And we're going to move into a time, and I'm going to guide you through this loving kindness practice. Kenny, if you want to put that screen up for just a minute. This is the 3 sentences I'm going to use for this, but you can make this whatever you want. If you go out and Google loving kindness, you'll find all kinds of ways that people practice this, but these are simple to remember. And even if you don't get the words exactly right, the words are not the most important part. They are there to just help guide us in that process. But the 3 that we're going to use today is may you be safe, may you be well in body and mind, and may you live in peace. And we're going to offer this to people in our own heart center, and we're also going to offer it to ourselves because we cannot give to others what we cannot fully receive ourselves. So as we get comfortable right where we are, perhaps you want to close your outer eyes so that you can just be fully present to the gift of this moment. Let's use that shifting energy of the breath as we take a deep breath in and let it go. And taking another deep breath in, and as we bring that breath in, we feel that energy, that love, that light, that peace of God moving into our entire being. And as we let that breath go, we let go of anything that's not a part of this very moment, knowing that we can pick it up at any time we choose. And one more deep breath in. And as you let this breath go, imagine that thinking part of you is slowly sinking down into your heart space until it gently comes to rest there. When the thinking part of us and that feeling part of us merge as one, it is often called the mind of the heart. It is when all parts of our being are centered in this awareness, in this divine connection to the power and presence of God, living and breathing and moving and having its very life within us. Just breathe for a moment in this space. Breathing that loving energy in and through your heart space, sending it out into the world. And into this sacred space of your heart, I invite you to bring to mind someone or some being that has given you love beyond measure. They can be present here on the earth now. They might be in spirit. They can be human. They can be of the furry kind. Just bring them into this space. And from your heart, allow my words to become the words that you speak to them. May you be safe. May you be well in body and mind. May you live in peace. And just give them a virtual hug, the hug of energy. And as you take another breath in, invite into this circle of your heart space someone that you know, perhaps not so well, perhaps someone like your mail person or the person that you interact with in the grocery store, or someone that you pass regularly as you're out walking. Bring them in to this space. And again, offer them these words with the energy of love behind them. May you be safe. May you be well in body and mind. May you live in peace. Again, being conscious of the breath, breathing it in, centering yourself in that heart space. Offer this same loving kindness to yourself. As you speak these words in mind and heart, may I be safe. May I be well in body and mind. May I live in the energy of peace. And as that energy of love grows and expands and the circle widens, see if you can't invite someone into this circle that you may be in conflict with right now, that you maybe have struggled to feel that sense of love and connection, and see them and behold the Christ in them. Invite them into this circle, knowing that at the core of your being, you do want the very best, the very energy of love and kindness, and offer these words to them. May you be safe. May you be well in body and mind. May you live in peace. And just for the next 30 seconds or so, open it to whoever your mind's eye wishes to invite into this space. Perhaps there are others that you'd like to invite and offer this loving kindness to heal and feel a greater sense of peace in your relationship with them. So we allow this process to continue as we move for a time into the silence. And as you gently begin to bring your attention back to this time and space, aware of the chair that you're sitting in, perhaps wiggling your toes and your fingers, feel that wide open flow of energy moving through every part of your being, energizing, transforming, feeling a sense of faith and joy and love and peace. knowing that indeed it is possible to be in this space of peace, no matter what is happening in our lives or in our world, and energized and excited to go out and be that peace as you move out into the activities of this day and this time. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's my invitation this week, is to bring this practice. You can do it in 5 minutes. So I tell myself there's no excuse to say that I don't have 5 minutes in a day, to just take a moment and practice this sacred act of loving kindness, certainly to myself, certainly to those that I love. But if you really want to feel a sense of peace, see if you can't encompass those that challenge you. And know that as you are this peace and go out into the world, see if you can't just perceive that as you make a difference in being that peace, as you're going through the grocery store line, as you're out for a walk, and you just look and extend that brief moment of loving kindness to those walking by you, as perhaps you have conversations with those who might challenge you. If you could just take a moment and breathe and be peace, I think you will be amazed. There will be wonders this season of how, as we encompass and embrace this peace in our own lives, we make a difference and bring peace on earth into our world. May peace be with each of you. Amen.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Linda, for the beautiful message of peace and the powerfully gentle meditation. Thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. So now is the time. If we were in church, which we will be very soon, the ushers would be coming forward to take your offerings. So let's prepare those offerings in thought, heart, and mind. We're grateful to those who remembered the church on Giving Tuesday. And we're just as grateful for all the ways you support our spiritual home, your spiritual home. Again, the end of the year is drawing closer, but there's still time to make those end of year gifts that will help with your taxes. And I urge you once again to consider automatic contributions. You can set the contributions up for $5 or more. The money will be charged to your card on the day of the month that you choose, and you can stop those donations on a dime. So please consider. And now, hold the thought of your gifts in heart, love, and mind, and join me in our offering blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am giving, all that I am receiving, and all that I am. Thank you. And now, before I do an appreciation, I would first like to do an appreciation for our newest member, Sue Zimmerman, has joined us in membership. Sue has been with us in classes. Yes, yay, Sue. She's been with us in classes, in services. She goes or has gone to Unity in Irving, and she joins us in membership today. She went through the membership class. So Sue, we are so happy to have you with us. We thank you for joining us. Yay, Sue. And now appreciation. I would just like to thank, and as I know everyone who has anything to do with this service, as well as the attendees, everyone who does take part in the service, everyone who helps put it together, from Amber who puts together the slides, and all the way down to everyone who agrees to speak during the service, whether it's reading the daily word. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to them, I'd like to say, we love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Namaste.
All right, everybody. We have several upcoming events that are happening in and around Center of Unity today at 11:30. There is Sunday school. If you'll notice down there, there is the Zoom number, so you can jump right in at 11:30 and have the adult Sunday school. Metaphysical Bible study starts this Tuesday at 11:30, and that will be with Reverend Linda. I believe she will be doing that. Zoom is down, ID is down there, so you can plug right in and jump into Metaphysical Bible study this Tuesday at 11:30 with Reverend Linda. Now, this is a cool thing. This is I Can Still Shine. If y'all recall, we had some interaction with them. They all came out to the church. We spent a Saturday afternoon with the kids and with the moms and really helped them out. This is something that we can all do together. It's a toy and food drive. Debbie is going to be in the church parking lot this Thursday, December 10th, between 10 and 10:45. There's a short window there. And there's food, there's things for the kids, there's things for the moms, gift cards, anything that we can do to help these moms and kids out would be really great at this time of the year. And if you visit our website, there's a bigger list of things specifically that moms need and kids need. And this would be a great way to show our love for people this time of the year. And holiday game night, that's coming up this Friday. The Zoom is down here, and we want to have your favorite holiday beverage on hand, your snacks, your favorite recipes. You're going to do some holiday trivia, and apparently there is a holiday costume contest too. That ought to be very, very interesting. And then we have the special holiday services. If you'll go to our website, you can see where all of these are. They're also on the app. We have the candle lighting service, the White Stone ceremony, and of course, the New Year's Eve burning bowl ceremony. But all of those are on the website and on the app. You can go and find where those are. And we hope that each one of you participate in each one of these special holiday services.
You do need to mention that you need to come by the church starting next Monday, not tomorrow, but a week from Monday, and pick up your gift bag that'll have something for each of these services in it that you can participate virtually from home.
Cool.
And if I may say, we also said that if there are those who can't make it by the church, we'll arrange to drop it off, do a porch drop off for you. So just call the church, let us know.
Awesome. And of course, always there are 5 ways to give. You can stop by the church, drop off your donation. You can mail it in. You can go online to the website, and there's a place there to donate. The mobile app has an option there that you can also give. And of course, you can always just text to give as well.
Okay, it's time for the prayer for protection. If you can reach through the ethers and grab the hand next to you or below you, we'll say this together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
All right, everyone. Let's all join together singing our peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, everyone.